Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep on how to be a plumbing supervisor. And no, we won't be asking if you've ever gotten stuck in a sewer drain. Haha.
Right.
You want to ace that interview, and we're diving into RoleCatcher's resources to get you ready.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just knowing your wrenches. Being a supervisor is about leadership, like solving problems on the fly, and yeah, you even have to be a client whisperer sometimes.
Okay, I love that. We're going way beyond the job description here, everyone. RoleCatcher gives us all the insider info, so let's start with their definition. What does a plumbing supervisor do?
They're the maestro of the pipes, right?
Yeah.
They make sure that all the plumbing operations are running smoothly. Think, assigning those tasks, troubleshooting anything that comes up, and making sure everything's up to code and safe. And it's a high-demand job for sure. The salary definitely shows that, but it has its own unique challenges.
Speaking of challenges, RoleCatcher definitely doesn't sugarcoat it. We're talking long hours, on-call emergencies, even the occasional workplace hazard. Makes you appreciate a drain that flows smoothly.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, 55% of current supervisors just have a high school diploma. So experience trumps the fancy degrees here.
Absolutely. Learning by doing is key, which makes interview prep that much more important. So let's dive into some common questions you might get. We can start with, tell me about your experience in the plumbing industry. They're not just looking for you to just list off things from your resume.
Right, it's like that classic passion project question,
Yeah.
but in disguise.
Exactly.
Don't just list your tasks right.
Right.
RoleCatcher really emphasizes storytelling here. So think of a project that you totally nailed, or a problem that really tested your skills, or even how you helped a newbie learn the ropes.
Yeah. Highlight those moments where you showed leadership, quick thinking, those times you had those aha moments. And don't forget to mention those soft skills like communication, teamwork, and that can-do attitude that gets you through a plumbing crisis at 3 a.m.
Speaking of that can-do attitude, RoleCatcher's AI actually analyzes your answers to these kinds of questions and then gives you feedback tailored to plumbing. It's like having a mock interview with a total pro. Okay, so imagine this question. How do you manage and prioritize your workload? I'm picturing a perfectly color-coded spreadsheet. How about you?
Oh, we all have one. But interviewers are looking for more than that. Can you handle leading a team, juggling multiple projects at once, and dealing with those inevitable plumbing curveballs? Because, trust me, a burst pipe does not care about your to-do list.
So it's less about being a spreadsheet master and more about showing you can adapt and make good decisions under pressure, even when those pipes burst, whether it's literal or metaphorical. So what would be a good example from real life to share here?
Well, RoleCatcher mentions a few things like dealing with unexpected emergencies, team conflicts, even things like material shortages. Those are all common curveballs. So imagine you're in that situation. You had a plan, but everything changes in a flash. So how did you adapt? Who did you need to communicate with? And what was the outcome? Focus on those things.
It's all about proving you can stay calm under pressure.
Mm.
Which leads us to another question that RoleCatcher highlighted. Can you describe a time you had to resolve a difficult plumbing issue? Don't tell me it's your least favorite clogged toilet story.
We've all been there. But really try to choose an example that screams, I am supervisor material. Did you have to get really creative to solve a crazy plumbing puzzle? Maybe you calmed a panicking client at the same time you were fixing a geyser. Those are the kinds of stories that show off your problem-solving skills.
Show, don't tell, right? And speaking of showing off, RoleCatcher's AI analyzes your answer here too. It's seriously like having your own personal coach, but way less awkward. Okay, let's move on to safety, which is always important. One of the questions from RoleCatcher is, how do you ensure your team is working safely and following proper procedures?
They want to see that you are serious about safety. It's about building that culture where everyone puts safety first, not just checking boxes. Think back to your experience. Did you have regular safety meetings? What about on-site inspections, clear communication? All of those things show how committed you are to safety.
And don't forget about keeping those training up to date. RoleCatcher really emphasizes how important it is to stay current on all those plumbing codes, because those regulations change faster than a leaky faucet sometimes. And having those certifications really shows you're serious about safety. Okay, next question from RoleCatcher's treasure trove. How do you communicate with clients, AE team members, to make sure that projects are completed on time and within budget? It sounds like herding cats, but with wrenches and pipes.
Yeah, more like herding cats while juggling a budget and a ticking clock. But you've got the right idea. It's all about keeping everyone informed, managing those expectations, and dealing with those inevitable hiccups you find in construction.
Because let's be real, even with the best plumbing plans, something can always go wrong. So how do you handle those curveballs? RoleCatcher really seems to focus on transparency and communication. What does that look like in the real world?
Okay, so imagine this. The client suddenly decides they want to move the bathroom sink right in the middle of the project. Do you have a system in place for handling those change orders? How about keeping the client updated on costs and delays, and then communicating those changes to your team?
So you're that bridge between the client with your vision, even if it changes, and the team actually making it happen. And speaking of teams, RoleCatcher also gets into managing conflicts, because even the closest plumbing crews can disagree sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Their question is actually, how do you handle conflicts or disagreements within your team? That's where those leadership skills really come into play. You have to be that voice of reason, that person who can find the common ground.
What's that magic solution for when things get a little tense? RoleCatcher really emphasizes active listening and understanding different perspectives. So it's not about being the referee, but more like a plumbing mediator.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to deal with a team disagreement. How did you make sure that everyone felt heard? And what steps did you take to find a solution that worked for everybody? What ended up happening?
And it's important to create that environment of respect where everyone feels included. Okay, time for a tech check. One of RoleCatcher's questions is, how do you stay up to date on the latest plumbing technologies and techniques? I mean, nobody wants to be stuck using those clay pipes when there's all that amazing self-sealing stuff, right?
Totally. You got to show them that you can adapt, that you're eager to learn new things, and you're not afraid to trade in your trusty wrench for some newfangled tool. That could be literally or figuratively, by the way. And that's where industry conferences come in handy, or those trade publications, even online forums.
Or maybe you're that plumbing whiz who loves to tinker around in the garage, always searching for the next big thing. No matter what your style is, you want to show them that you're passionate about learning, and that goes a long way.
And RoleCatcher has even more tips on how to show them exactly that. There's a whole section on professional development. They mention online courses, certifications, the whole 9 yards.
Speaking of showing off your skills, let's talk about dealing with complex projects. RoleCatcher asks, can you describe a time you had to manage a complex plumbing project from start to finish? It feels like the tell us about a time you were a total plumbing superhero question.
Right. This is where you get to break out the big guns, show off those project management skills. Think about a project that had it all. Tight deadlines, a demanding client, maybe a few surprises along the way. How did you take all that chaos and bring it home?
Walk us through how you do it. What were those important decisions you made? What about those times when you really had to use those leadership skills? Remember, teamwork makes the plumbing dream work, right?
Exactly. Talk about how you delegated those tasks, brought your team together, and you were successful as a team. Speaking of teamwork, did we mention that RoleCatcher's AI can even give you feedback on how you describe working with your team? It's like having a little pep talk with a career coach behind the scenes.
I love that. Okay, we have 2 questions left, and these are big ones. First up, how do you prioritize customer service in your work as a plumbing supervisor? Now, that might seem a little out of place for a supervisor, but happy clients mean more work.
Exactly. A good supervisor knows that making sure the customer is happy is just as important as a perfectly working drain. They don't just want someone who can fix things. They want someone who understands that how you treat the customer matters.
So how do you convince them that you're not going to blow off a client's concerns? What makes you the kind of plumbing supervisor who really gets it when it comes to customer service? It's all about showing them that even though you're the supervisor, you still get how important the customer is. Maybe you have a whole system for dealing with complaints. Or maybe you're just amazing at communicating timelines and updates. RoleCatcher's guide really focuses on clear communication.
Yeah, and it's also about setting the right tone for your team. Do you encourage them to answer questions, even if it takes extra time, or address those concerns, maybe even give some extra advice to help out a homeowner? Those things make a big difference.
It's that human touch, even in the world of plumbing. Okay, last question from RoleCatcher, and this one's important. How do you manage and develop your team members? This is really at the heart of being a good leader, don't you think?
100%. It's about seeing the potential in your team, not just the tasks they need to do. Think about a mentor who really helped you grow in your career. What made them so great? Did they give you challenges? Offer helpful feedback? Celebrate your wins? Those are the things that great leaders do.
It's about helping them grow, not just getting the work done. RoleCatcher even has examples of professional development stuff you could mention to show you care about your team's future. And let's face it, when your team is skilled and motivated, Being a supervisor is way easier.
Tell me about it. And one last thing. RoleCatcher's AI can even give you feedback on your answer to this question, too. It can analyze what you say and see if it's clear and concise and how well you explain your leadership style. It's like having a personal feedback session, but on your own time.
See, RoleCatcher's really thought of everything, so there you have it. We really plumbed the depths of interview prep today, tackling those tough questions, and we even explored how RoleCatcher can help you land that plumbing supervisor job.
Remember, the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll be. So practice those answers, think about your successes, and you'll be smooth sailing in that interview. You've got this.
Well said. And on that inspiring note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. We hope you're feeling ready to tackle those interview questions with confidence and maybe even a little plumbing swagger.
Go get 'em.
And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher. You can make a free account and explore all the amazing resources they have. Until next time, happy plumbing and good luck with those interviews.